I've done my first of several turnarounds on the TARDIS. Um, this is just a temporary material I threw on. This is not like the actual material. It's just a blue, you know, paint. But what's really the point of these turnarounds, at least at this stage, is to check the degree of those imperfectionizing, humanizing, random, distortions, and to see how clearly they read at a reasonable distance. If you actually look at, if you actually look at any one of these panels, you'll see the corners turned up here, or let's look at the police box sign here. You'll see that there's a bow here. This edge doesn't meet, and if you look, this line is not straight. Same here. There's not, here, bowing, and this whole sign. Look at it from the side. So it's coming off, and all of the damage here has precedent in on a real box somewhere. So like this whole thing is dipped in. See how it's dipped in? That one I got from this. It's not strong enough. I have to do it a little farther. This is from I think Warrior's Gate or something. Anyway, so the interesting thing is that if you go back to the original model where I'm doing the changes, one thing I said was you have to look at the amount that you're doing and go a little farther than you think that you have to, because if you look at it, if you start looking at things like the like these lines, and this is pulled off, or you look at the panels, the mesh actually has straight lines on it. So when something is not even, you can clearly see it. So if you go and you look at, say, any one of these panels, you can see these panels are not lined up. This one's higher than it, and it's crushed over, and they're offset. And it's true for every single panel in the place. If you took a single object, like this, and you looked at it, it's completely, it's all whacked out. Let's take off the thing so you can see a little better. The bars aren't straight, and the entire model is like that. There's no right angles anywhere on the model, anywhere. Nothing's perfectly lined up. You can see all the bowing and bending. So, looking at it, that's true, but here's a dip there. If you look at it from the side, this is curved out. These post caps, this one's bent down, and they're different heights across. They're not exactly the same. It's just everywhere. It takes forever to do. But what you find out is that here you go, pretty far, and you think, well, every single thing is now screwed up. That's got to be enough. And then you go and you look at it in the render, and it doesn't read that hard. But that is exactly where that's where the love is getting those things right. So my first turnaround is my first chance to really see how well they're reading. The truth is, compared to this exact thing with none of those, it does look a lot more real. This is already, like, I'd say 40% toward where it needs to be. Maybe we'll go on the other side. We'll go 60%. Because it's starting to, you can feel somewhere in here, you can feel that it's starting to get photoreal. Even material aside. And it is because your brain is actually picking up all these things, and just in the aggregate, your impression of it, you're not seeing it like that. But that's that's where it is, and it just needs to go another level. But it's always useful just to start, just say, okay, where am I? How is the light playing across it? Because the light should not play evenly across the surface. It should have moments that pick up before others. And they do, because the angles are slightly different. And the windows all have to have that done to them too. Right now they're perfectly planar, and that's not real. So I just go through and I look a little bit, and like I said, the material is just temp. It's just sort of in the general concept. And I check my UVs here. When I paint in Mari, so having UVs that are well laid out is not as important as if you're just doing like Photoshop textures. But yeah, you can see it. I mean, you can see the stuff. but it's just not quite enough. If you turned all those things off, this would look like nothing. Um, so anyway, that's the first turnaround, and hopefully after the next one, we'll take a look at it. And again, the standard should really be that you're just a little bit alarmed. And I thought I was alarmed, but I wasn't alarmed enough. So, well, back to my reference photos. I do, like I said, all the things I do them based on some box at some point in some condition. I don't have to. It's a creative thing to just grab edges and move them around. But I just like, I just like to know that they have provenance somewhere. Anyway, so I'm going to go and fix this one. I like this. I think one of my favorite ones. I like this dip. I want to really get this dip right out of the road. I like that. All right.